People that tell you it takes money to make money, they want your money. Does it take their money to make money? No. How can you become more resourceful regardless of your resources? If you don't have lots of cash to start with, how do you get ahead? Where can you turn? And what can you do? There's a better way than living on rice and beans and scrimping until you get blisters on your fingers. Stop wasting time budgeting and complaining. There's a better way. Chasing money won't get you there. Adding value and building relationships is the key. Let me begin with this story. So Daniel was in college when he approached me. He's in graduate school and he didn't come from money and was relying on student loans to really make ends meet. Now, that didn't stop him from reaching out. Initially, candidly, there was no response for me. But he didn't stop there. He saw me on a video course at the university, and with someone else that was coming to speak to the students, he approached them because I had mentioned this guy in one of the videos. This guy's name was Jason, and then Jason actually emailed and said, hey, would you mind if I connect you to Daniel? I was like, he kind of reached out to me, and Jason said, I think he's a great guy, and it seems like what he's up to, gathering some students might be worth your time. So after, a couple months, I ended up booking a trip to Miami, and he was in Atlanta, so I had a layover there, so I said, I'd be willing to come and do something for you and a group of students. So what's really cool is that he actually got all these students to chip in. So they're on student loans, they're not even making money, and they chipped in to come up with $5,000, which was unexpected, and gave it to me the day I showed up. They wanted to invest in my time, right? I was willing to kind of pay it forward. So think about it, the persistency had paid off. I ended up figuring out how to make it work in my life because of my travel schedule. And because I knew Jason, I was able to connect because Jason and I had what I would call relationship capital. Jason had added value to my life, I had added value to his life, we had hosted events together. So Daniel gathers these 24 students, they come with the $250, I'm gonna spend a day instructing them, and Daniel borrowed a car of a professor, which was an Audi, picked me up at the airport, right? They got me the type of food that I enjoy for lunch and for dinner that day. The president of the school took me out to a baseball game that night. Like, he just went and utilized relationship capital. And rather than saying, can I pick your brain and can I just get something for free, they actually thought of ways to make it a good experience for me. After this day, he said, hey, I'd love for you to personally mentor me. But I didn't, he didn't really have any money to offer, so I said, well, are you willing to give me equity in your business? That was a little bit steep for him. So he asked me a few more questions, and this was the key, asking more questions. See, I was in the middle of writing this project called Wealth Book, and he had an English degree. And he offered to write and edit in exchange for my time. That worked for both of us. See, the first week that he launched his business, he made $8,700. How did he do it? Well, he's able to create a vision that compelled people to support him before he had the money to pay them, creating everything from like logos to plans and helping him launch his business. How can you apply this same type of thinking? It's the same thing that I did when I was in my, early my late teenage years, early 20s. But it doesn't matter what your age is. We can break this down into 3 simple ways you can make more money without money. The first one is you got to be resourceful, and one of the best ways to do that is use what I call the value equation. You build your relationship capital. The value equation is your mental capital multiplied by your relationship capital equals your financial capital. Mental capital is everything that you know and that you can offer, and relationship capital are the people that you know that you can offer that value to. So who would you like to know? Make a list. I was on that list for Daniel. I actually just had another guy reach out to me and say, his name's Alex, he said, hey, here's someone, you're on their top 100 list of people they'd like to know, could I make a connection? I said, sure. So because I knew and trusted Alex, made the connection, and now we're texting back and forth. So what value can you offer? Drew Hitchcock is another story of this. He's a value first guy. He was able to connect directly with me due to his advancement of what was important to me. Right here on this YouTube channel, he supports this channel and doing the things that we're doing right now on social media. He just reached out to me as an author and said, hey, here's a couple tweaks, got on with my social media firm, said, here's some things I could do, and right now said, I'll exchange some time and help you if you'll give me some of your time and mentor me. So who are you reading books by? Have you commented on the things that they're doing? Have you emailed them to let them know how they've impacted you? And when an author comes out with a book, one of the easiest ways to get with them is to buy multiple copies. And we had a study group that we even brought authors in to speak. And Drew Hitchcock is building that right now, where he buys books, gives it to these people, brings on the author, people get to learn directly from the author, and he gets to directly connect with them because he facilitates the group. So who do you know even locally that you admire? What's important to them? How can you reach out to them? Who do you know that can even connect you? See, if you can make connections and introductions and become an advocate for someone, you become of substantial value to them. So instead of thinking what you can do to pick their brain or what they can do for you, begin with, it's like a JFK type quote, what can you do for them first? Build the relationship by making deposits in relationship capital, and now with that relationship, you've got a new advocate in your life. The second thing, what do you know that's valuable? What do you know that's unique? And how can you provide the most value? This is that mental capital piece. Where can you develop your knowledge? And when you have that knowledge with an amplifier relationship, well, that's going to give you a huge world of opportunity. So let me give an example with my Win Then Play audiobook. So I've already pre-recorded the Win Then Play audiobook before the book's even out. And it's the first version, it's not going to be the final version, but I'm sharing it with key influencers, key relationships in my life. And one of the people I happen to share it with is Barry Katz, who created Last Comic Standing. And if you go to his IMDb page, you're just going to see that he's done a lot, and he's represented some amazing comedians, everybody from Dave Chappelle to Louis C.K. I mean, the list goes on. But ultimately, I sent him my Win Then Play audiobook. He took a bunch of notes after listening to the first chapter. He's like, dude, I didn't know all this stuff. This is great. You're talking about this big picture of life. And as a teenager, I entered business competitions. And I asked the judges for advice after I presented. These were successful people that often like to pay it forward. There's so many opportunities to build relationships. Like, I remember after a John Mayer concert, my wife and I go back to the hotel, and there's the entire band. And they're all in the same bar, so I just bought them drinks to say thank you. It was a great concert. And now Carlos, who's one of the singers, and we become really close friends. He's actually flown out here to come to one of our workshops. He's been to one of my stand-up comedy sessions. Why? Because I took the initiative. Or let me talk about another situation. If you're trying to build relationships and you want to be resourceful, let's look at what Jason Garnard did. He wrote a book called Mastermind Dinners. And even if you don't have a lot of money, other people can pay for their own dinner, but you can actually build relationships by hosting dinners of interesting people. And he's even got questions that everybody can ask and facilitate conversations, even if you're deeply introverted or feel awkward in social settings. The key is, if you just find one relationship that's an amplifier, and the Mastermind Dinner structure could absolutely do that, or just find people that you could be an advocate for, or that your talents really help them in their life, it's completely critical. Like, I'll use another example. Lori and Missy are two amazing women, and I gifted this content that I had created for a study group with them and a few other women. Now, their husbands, Patrick and John, I met them because of that. And John and Patrick have now sent me hundreds of referrals. They've made great connections, and they're massive amplifiers. As a matter of fact, Patrick Gentempo is the co-host of Sacrifice Shrugged, one of the Wealth Labs podcasts that we post right here on the channel. So if you want to discover what you have to offer and how you can build these relationships and how you can be more resourceful, wealthfactory.com/solution. If you haven't already tapped into that, this is an amazing tool to discover your soul purpose, discover your value, know what you can contribute, and then you can watch this video and say, who do I know or who do I want to know? How can I add value to them? How can I ask better questions? What can I contribute? See, once you get to that, the third thing is you can expand your means. Expand your means add more value to the world. Where can you grow? Where can you learn? How can you create daily habits to expand what you're up to? Where can you add to the bottom line of an organization? That's what I would call being entrepreneurial, where you know you can contribute that will increase their profits and you can get a piece of that. Or as a business owner, it's pretty obvious, how do you add more value? Win then play is a key. What I mean by win then play is you can use the cycle of creation to build momentum and build something that you don't have to fund. So I'm doing this one-man show, right? I've hired people, I've got Win Then Play audiobook, I've got the manuscript done of Win Then Play, I've created 4 transcripts of these 4 major concepts, I've created webinars around it, and what we're gonna do is allow people to buy advanced copies but get all these cool bonuses. We're gonna let them be able to have the first to get tickets and come to special Q&A sessions and be able to really integrate and be part of this for those people that are fans of this work. And guess what? I don't ever have to borrow money. I actually have the funds that come up front because it's something that I'm creating with the momentum of the end user. That's Win Then Play. That's the cycle of creation. People that tell you it takes money to make money, well, they just want your money. Does it take their money to make money? No. So how can you become more resourceful regardless of your resources? It's your relationships, how you build those relationships. It's your mental capital, how you develop that mental capital. How you add value to make connection and build those relationships will forever transform your wealth because it doesn't take money to make money. It takes value. It takes people. Whether you don't have the cash, That's not the key. It's whether or not you recognize your value. So you got to invest in yourself, invest in your relationships, bring the best you have and find those that can benefit from it. Now you have the knowledge to transform your thoughts into profits and build the life you love. If you're looking for more on this topic, check out my video on the 5 things that broke people say that keep them poor. You'll learn how to, really manage your conversations so you can change that conversation, change wealth, build relationship capital, and overcome any scarcity that's holding you back. So, I'll see you there.